Hey YouTube, if you've watched any of my current videos, you would know that I had my little baby boy on the 8th of November 2011, little Flynn. This time last week, which was Monday the 7th of November, I went to the hospital at about 11 o'clock in the morning to get induced. I waited a while till they actually come and saw me. And then when they finally did, all they did was put me on the monitor for like ages. And then I finally got off the monitor and was about to have some lunch when the doctor came in and said, "We're going to induce you now." So that was great. I didn't even get to eat any of my lunch. So they induced me at around 1 o'clock. They just put the gel in, which is that, what is it called again? I always forget it.
Colistin or something?
Yeah, whatever it's called. So they put that in at 1, and then they put me on the monitor again for about an hour, and just to check how, like, if, you know, the contractions were getting faster and all that. And that pretty much did nothing, so we had to repeat it all again at 7 o'clock, and then it wasn't until about 2 hours later I started to get minor contractions and things like that. So yeah, I started to get contractions at about 9 o'clock. Dave got sent home, and so did my sister. So they got sent home, and supposedly I was meant to sleep. They asked me if I wanted any Panadine 4 or any sleeping tablets, but I refused to take any drugs whatsoever. I really wanted to have as natural as possible birth, and maybe just the gas, so I was refusing to take even Panadine 4, which I think worked out in my favour, because when the contractions finally did kick in, I was more alert and able to deal with them a lot better. So then about, sorry, I've got to look at my notes. Then at about 1 AM my waters broke, but it was like really weird. It was kind of like, for what I know, when your waters break, it just either splashes down or it just drips down like you're doing a wee, but mine just sort of had a little bit of a burst and then it kind of disappeared. So for a second I kind of thought, well, I didn't really need to go to the toilet, so was that my water? But I went to the toilet and I saw there was a bit of a show and all that, so I asked the midwife, and she said yes, that would be my water breaking, blah blah blah, let her know like what's going on and how far my contractions are. So I started timing my contractions, and they were getting closer together, and then at about 2:30 my water broke again, and this time it started gushing down a bit more like wee. And then I had another show. At that stage my contractions started to get a lot worse. Got out of, because for most of the day I was like laying in bed, so I thought I'd get up and start walking the corridors and stuff. So I was all alone. I had another lady in the room next to me who was also having contractions as well, so that was kind of a bit funny. But so I was just walking around the corridors trying to stretch and giving myself self massages to not think of the contractions and all that sort of stuff, breathing in and out and all that. And then at about 3 o'clock my contractions were like a minute apart and just starting to become unbearable. So I asked the midwife to call my partner back and my sister, and she actually thought I was lying. I think when I'm in a lot of pain I don't show my reactions as much as other people, I don't know, but she thought I was lying, and because I had a lot of people apparently in labour that night, she actually didn't want to take me into the room, and she was like, "I hope you're not making a fool of me." She made me feel real horrible and like doubt that I was actually in labour, but I obviously was, because yeah. Anyway, so at about 3 something, my sister came before Dave. Then Dave came and they put me on the gas, so I started using the gas. And that was helping like, it was really good for a long while. I was managing my contractions and I was quite happy in and out of the gas mask days. Just talking a lot of crap with my sister and Dave and the midwife. And then at about, sorry, I gotta look at my thing again. I'm not quite sure what time it was. I don't know what time it was, but I got checked and I was about 4 centimeters dilated. And the midwife said to me that I was going to have a 9-pound baby. And I don't know if it was because of the fact that it was only 4 centimeters dilated and the fact that she said that it was going to be a 9-pound baby, but something switched in my brain and I started to stress out a little bit. I was still okay for a little while, but then after a bit, I got checked again. I don't know what time it was. Dave, do you have any idea? No.
Maybe 2 hours later.
About 2 hours later, probably. I got checked again, and I was 7 to 8 centimeters dilated, and
about
fully effaced. Oh no, sorry, I got it written down. It wasn't 2 hours. It was, oh well, I don't know what time I was 4 centimeters, but at about 7 a.m. I was 7 to 8 centimeters dilated and fully effaced. And I started to just freak. I lost, the gas mark just didn't seem to be working as good as it was, and I was getting really tired, and I didn't believe that I was 7 to 8 centimeters dilated. I just thought, oh wow, that's nothing, I've still got ages to go, and I don't know, I just felt like we weren't going to get anywhere. And even though everyone kept saying, oh, you'll have the baby by the morning and blah blah blah, I just didn't believe it. So they put me on the drip. I don't know what does the drip exactly do?
Just gives you fluids.
Yeah, to give me fluids and stuff like that. And I just was starting to doubt myself and feeling like I wasn't going to be able to manage without taking anything else. So I didn't want to take anything, but I ended up taking, I asked for 50 mils of pethidine. The usual amount that they give is 100, but I only asked for 50. So I got that, and I don't know, didn't really feel like it had done anything. Then I got to a stage, I was getting to a stage where I wanted to push, but I felt as though it wasn't time. I don't know if that makes, they checked me again and they couldn't feel, like they kept saying it wasn't really time to push. Then I asked for another 50 mils of pethidine, and just after I got that, I started to feel the need to push. So I started pushing, again I felt the need to push, so I started pushing and pushing and pushing, and I don't know, she wasn't really, the nurse wasn't, the midwife wasn't really
giving much information.
Yeah, stopping me from pushing, but she wasn't really encouraging me either. So I think she was a little bit like not as helpful as the nurses I had, the doctors I had with Curtis. So I kind of, you know, didn't have that kind of support to keep going. Dave and my sister were as good as they could be, but I think they started to stress out a little bit. So yeah. Then I finally, I was pushing, and then as I was pushing, I felt his little head come out, but then I just could not push at all. Like, my body just wanted to give up pushing, and I don't know, I just could not push at all. So everyone was telling me to push.
You had a lot of pain.
But I had a lot of pain and all this, and then suddenly, yeah, his head was out, and then apparently, because I was such in a daze and stuff like that, went from being 2 midwives in the room to about, how many people were in the room?
Probably 10.
10 people in the room.
They press the emergency button.
They pressed the emergency button, yeah, and so there was about 10 people in the room. All I remember is this one lady who was pushing my leg down like this, and she was just killing me. I was I think I swore at her quite a bit. I remember trying to bite Dave. I remember saying I can't do it a lot of times. And then, yeah, I just remember feeling as though his head was stuck, or he was stuck from the shoulders. So his shoulders was kind of stuck, and then finally he was out.
Within about a minute.
Within about a minute he was out. So I only pushed for about, well, I was pushing before that, but the actual pushing part didn't take too long.
The lead up took about an hour.
The lead up took about an hour, but yeah, the actual pushing didn't take too long.
Came out.
So he came out, and there was like, then I sort of could see that there was heaps of doctors and stuff like that, and I was a bit concerned if Flynn was okay, and I just kept asking if he was okay. I didn't even get to see him. I just saw like a bit of his head, and I saw that he had hair. And my sister and Dave were quite quiet as well, so I think they weren't really sure what was going on as well. But then finally I heard a little wah, and that kind of, you know,
assured you.
Yeah, assured me a little bit that he was okay. But they still had to take him out of the room to do a further checkup on him, so I didn't actually...
They had to x-ray his shoulder.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to see him, so they took him away and they had to x-ray his shoulder.
Because they pulled him out hard.
Yeah, they pulled him out hard. Do you want to talk? They pulled him out quite hard, and they discovered that he had a broken collarbone. So, as you can see, for about 2 weeks he has to have his little arms, not in a sling, just tucked away in his singlet. But other than that, so it was about 20 minutes later or so that I actually got to finally meet him, and as I said to you, I took another 50 mils of pethidine, which I don't think had even kicked in until after I'd had him. So I really wanted to be awake after I'd had him, but that was the time that I actually felt the most drowsiest, unfortunately. But yeah, it was 20 minutes after till I finally got to see his face and see that he actually looks a little bit like Mum, and still a little bit like Dad, and a bit like Curtis. So I think he's got the bit of the three of us, and yeah. So that was my labour story. It was going quite good. Most of it was good. I would actually say it was what I wanted for a long time, until, like, you know, just using the gas and being alert and more relaxed. Only just within the last hour or two did I kind of disappoint myself by taking that pethidine and just feeling as though I'd, you know, given up. But I think that was due to the nurse as well. She shouldn't have told me that he was going to be 9 pounds. In the end, he was only about 7.5, so not that big. And that's it. What else? He's doing pretty good. We were able to go home within the 2 nights. I, myself, have been recovering quite slowly. I had sprained a muscle in my back, which made me feel really kind of depressed within the first night, because I felt like I couldn't do anything, but I actually still did. I don't know how. But yeah, he's been breastfeeding really good, and I've been able to express quite a lot. Curtis has been a really good big brother, and that's about it for this video. Maybe I'll do another post in a little while. Alright, bye.